Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about installation methods, floating versus glue down. Let's find out which option is better for you. Okay, let's make it this clear before we start talking about glue down methods. So any floors designed to float is like laminate or hybrid flooring, so you cannot glue them down. So let's make that clear before we start talking about timber flooring, because glue down, you use like a timber floors to stick it down. Anyway, let's go and find out. Let's talk about glue down method first. So what that means is you take your timber floorboard and you stick it down to your subfloor permanently. Pretty much you're using special adhesives to glue it down. There's advantages and disadvantages in terms of laying cost and so on. So advantages would be that it's nice and stable underfoot. And the second one is these floorboards will be sandable in the future. Depends on how thick veneer you get, because again, you can get different thicknesses veneer. You can get from 1 mil all the way up to like 6 mil veneer. So the thicker the veneer, the more you can sand in the future. So that's the two big advantages in terms of gluing your floorboards down. There is of course there is disadvantages. So which the most kind of important one is a lot more time consuming, which means the installation a lot more time consuming, which means a lot more cost involved, a lot more preparation involved. So that's pretty much your disadvantage. And another one is once it's glued down, it's a lot harder to replace. So if you have a water damage or anything like not just one board needs to be replaced and you need to go replace the whole lot, that's going to be a lot harder and of course a lot more cost in terms of removing all that floor, grinding, and it's a big job. So that's the main two advantages and disadvantages in terms of glue down. Let's talk about floating. You can of course float it as well. So which means that you take same board, but then you need to use some kind of like a flooring underlay instead of adhesive. You lay flooring underlay first, depends on which one, and then you lay your floating timber floor on top of it. Advantage of this is a lot quicker, easier to install, and another one is easier to replace in terms of if we're talking about big scale. So if you flood your floors and you need to replace the whole lot, that's a lot easier to lift, remove, and get you a new one. That's the advantage. But there's a lot more disadvantages, which the main disadvantage of floating floors, and a lot of complaints come with it, is the noise, is that hollow, squeaking, creaking sound that they make, because they float. They pretty much they're not stuck to anything. So they react to weather. If it rains for 2 weeks, if it's dry for 2 weeks, they do move, and then they squeak, they move, and that hollow sound. And a second big disadvantage, that if you lay it floating, you won't be able to sand it or refinish it later down the track. So yes, it's cheaper in the beginning, but in the long run, you lose. Compared to the glue down method, yes, it's dearer in the beginning, but you win in the long run. Another thing is with the floating floor is apartments, when we have to meet certain acoustic levels. Sometimes with the glue down method, it's not achievable. Depends on the thickness of the slab and so on and so on. So sometimes, because most of our jobs, like 99% of our jobs, is a glue down. But sometimes when regulations not allow us to install glue down, we have to go floating. And for that reason, I always tell, okay, we're going floating. Expect movement, expect squeaking, expect all that because it's a floating floor. Basically, that's a quick explanation for you what's floating versus glue down method. You decide, you be the judge which one to go for, because to me glue down is always better in the long run. If it's a quick fix, you just need to replace your carpets with something quick and easy, don't want to spend too much, yeah, go for floating floor. And another important bit is locking system. So you have engineered boards, they come as a click system and they come as a tongue and groove system. So tongue and groove designed more for glue downs. Click system, I would say it's easier to DIY. So when you click your board, it's a lot easier to hold the line nice and straight. So especially when you're starting off the wall, it's a lot easier to hold the line because you don't need to then use the straps and put it all together. If you're doing any DIY, I would recommend you going click system, because with the tongue and groove, it's a little bit harder. So, but that's it, guys. Any questions? Leave a comment below. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you at the next one.